right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Let's get ready to go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Frank Monday coming at ya once again, like Finnegan. Let's get ready. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Let's get ready to rumble. You and me on the street. Feet up, nigga. What's happening, y'all? Good looking, sexy people out in Happy Land doing all right today. Let's get ready to get this show on the road, man. How about that? How about that? Let's see here. Roll that back just a little bit as we roll the intro. It's another one of those old Frank Monday productions coming at ya.
Okay guys, our next comedian, it's a bit of a treat, to be honest. It is a bit of a treat. He's been away for 3 years. He is now back from the dead. Well, America. Give a big round of applause for Frank Monday.
Appreciate that shit. Nick's a good man. You know what that's like, being a good man. It's tough in a fucking city like this, though. You know, nobody gives a fuck. They're like, God damn, some crazy shit. Motherfucker wearing high heels and shit. Looking good, too, huh? Yeah, you guys like that. That's all right. It's okay to fall down occasionally. I do that sometimes. All right, being back in the G is pretty fucking nerve-wracking. You know, performing for 4 minutes straight. The only other time I get this anxious when I gotta perform for 4 minutes straight is when I gotta make love to my wife.
Onion ring. Yeah, they're all right.
Hey, be watching for the Star Wars blog Rebellion coming out in December. You'll love it. It's a follow-up to the award-winning Generations. Oh yeah. There you go, Frank.
Here's my burger. All right. Welcome to the transmission, everyone. I hope you're doing well out there today in Happy Land, whoever you are, wherever you are, and whenever you are receiving this good magic. Welcome back, Wizard, Warrior, Wayfarer, Wanderer, and Wildcat alike. We're transmitting to you today from the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking, far behind the Bamber Firewall, way out here in the old capital of Tartaria, the Grand Orient. Welcome. If you've got a yin to expand your kin, why don't you get zen with me, right? You and me, baby. Doing it here. I appreciate our time together, whoever you are, wherever you are, right? Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone listening, why don't you take this opportunity to enjoy? Take a deep breath in. Hold it for 3, 2, 1. Eye fixation point. Relax. Wow, what a thing. Your magical sigil represents your intention at this time. Whatever good magic you want to perform. Breathe in that life-affirming energy and empower your sigil. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Concentrating on your sigil. Command yourself to relax. You can send your sigil out into the responsive cosmos and get either an immediate or delayed response. It's up to you, magician. You've got the magic. You know the method. Volantia, decreeism, and possism. Remember, O neophyte, goodness alone is power. Silence is strength. Will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation, because love is the law, love under will, and do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Good magic. Adastra per Sparrow, Wayfarer. Let's get into it. Me and you, we got a little work to do. Adoration of Abraxas. Take a deep breath. Your magical sigil. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and command yourself to be empowered at this moment as we pray the Adoration of Abraxas. Holy art thou, Lord of the universe, the vast and the mighty one, creator of heaven and earth, maker of all things visible and invisible, master of both the light and the darkness, he who was, is, and always shall be. We adore thee and we invoke thee. Please at this time send us one of your divine spiritual guardians, our holy guardian angel, to protect and guide us through the innumerable snares of the earthly sphere, and that, beatific, cleansing wind to disperse all negativity and endless human opinion, so odious, so noxious, so vexing. Teach us, dear Lord, those secret things which we must know for the completion of the great work and the glory of thine ineffable name. Adonai. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Amen. As above, so below, Wayfarer. Invocation of Tahuti. Coming up. Gotta load it up to get it ready for you. Good magic. What a show today, guys. I hope you're enjoying your time out in Happy Land. Fellowshipping in the chat box there. I haven't checked it yet, but I will get on top of that now.
Invocation of Thoth. Procul, o procul esti profani, or lasti ompeda. In the name of the mighty and terrible one, I proclaim that I have banished the shells unto their habitations. I invoke Tahuti, the Lord of wisdom and of utterance, the God that cometh forth from the veil. O thou majesty of the Godhead, wisdom-crowned Tahuti, Lord of the gates of the universe, thee I invoke. O thou of the ibis head, thee I invoke. Thou who wieldest the wand of double power, thee I invoke. Thou who bearest in thy left hand the rose and cross of light and life, thee I invoke. Thou whose head is as an emerald, and thy nemesis as the night sky blue, thee I invoke. Thou whose skin is of flaming orange as though it burned in a furnace, thee I invoke. Behold, I am yesterday, today, and the brother of tomorrow. I am born again and again. Mine is the unseen force whereof the gods are sprung, which is as life unto the dwellers in the watchtowers of the universe. I am the charioteer of the east, lord of the past and of the future. I see by mine own inward light, Lord of resurrection, who cometh forth from the dusk, and my birth is from the house of death. O ye two divine hawks upon your pinnacles, who keep watch over the universe, ye who company the bier to the house of rest, who pilot the ship of wrong, ever advancing onwards the heights of heaven, Lord of the shrine which standeth in the center of the earth. Behold, he is in me, and I in him. Mine is the radiance wherein Ptah floateth over the firmament. I travel upon high. I tread upon the firmament of new. I raise up flashing flame with the lightning of mine eye, ever rushing on in the splendor of the daily glorified Ra, giving my life to the dwellers of earth. If I say, come up upon the mountain, the celestial waters shall flow at my word. For I am Ra incarnate, Kefra, created in the flesh. I am the eidolon of my father Tamu, Lord of the city of the sun. The God who commands is in my mouth. The God of wisdom is in my heart. My tongue is the sanctuary of truth, and a God sitteth upon my lips. My word is accomplished every day, and the desire of my heart realizes itself as that of Ptah when he createth his works. I am eternal, therefore all things are as my designs, therefore do all things obey my word. Therefore do thou come forth unto me from thine abode in the silence, unutterable wisdom, or light, or power. So, Hermes, Mercury, Odin, by whatever name I call thee, thou art still nameless to eternity. Come thou forth, I say, and aid and guard me in this work of art. Thou, star of the east, that didst conduct the Magi, thou art the same all-present in heaven and in hell. Thou that vibratest between the light and the darkness, rising, descending, changing ever, yet ever the same. The sun is thy father, thy mother the moon. The wind hath borne thee in its bosom, and earth hath ever nourished the changeless Godhead of thy youth. Come thou forth, I say, come thou forth, and make all spirits subject unto me, so that every spirit of the firmament and of the ether, upon the earth and under the earth, on dry land and in the water, of whirling air and of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God the vast one may be obedient unto me.
All right, good magic. I can appreciate that. I hope you can. I like to think of myself as a bit of an Israel Regardi, an adept and a student of, at least once removed. As many of you may know, a student of his was my very first teacher in magic now, and I'm just realizing that it was a hypnotherapist my mother took me to between like the ages of 9 and 12. And I remember clearly now that I'm looking back in retroflect, and this is kind of an epiphany, that she was the first person to teach me magic, right? And it's great too, because going to a hypnotherapist, it's their intention to teach you the techniques of self-hypnosis is really kind of an enlightening thing. What an approach, right? She just put the tools at my disposal, taught them to me, reinforced it, taped the sessions, and then I listened to the tapes of the sessions for years afterwards. God, I wish I still had those. What a fun thing, right? To get therapy tapes from back when you were a preteen, a tween, even a child. If you imagine that, I was actually a child. And if I'd have known this if I knew now what I did then, I'd be a lot better off. And one of those things is certainly the message that the Machine Lies Cyber Caliphate is bringing forward. Like Confucius said when he went to meet with Lao Tzu for the first time. He said, today, upon returning, today I've met Lao Tzu. And Lao Tzu is like something I've never seen before. He was truly a celestial dragon, swirling and rising, descending, retreating in the mists of the twilight heavens, breathing smoke and fire. And I've been negligent in going to see him. For Lao Tzu and TML, man, TML, you're my homie, bro. I love you. Much love. You're getting the real fucking work done. The great work. Here it is here, guys. Listen up. Pay attention.
Lies of the machine on the machine that lies. Basically, on the stream, The Machine Lies, we're taking a very critical look at technology. So the reason we're doing that is because we're looking at the medium that is used to communicate, right, and transmit information, right? We don't think that any form of mediation is neutral, right, but it's laden with values. And so I think that the well has been polluted by technology. So obviously we take a critical look at technology, right? Okay, we're looking at different concepts in relation to technology, right? In terms of philosophy, right? And in terms of religion. Now, that is one of the main purposes of the show, is that we really look at where technology and religion, science, and spirituality, where those things intersect, right? Because there's a crisis of the modern world in which there's a majority of the modern world is religious people. Their mindset is secular, and the means they employ are secular. We're living in a post-liberal, post-human, post-geological age, right? So we're talking about the death of liberalism, the rise of the world technological system. Now, we do think that, okay, there's a considerable level of externalization of the ego, okay, and mediation of ourselves through the means we employ. So obviously, we shape tools, but the tools we use shape us, right? So that's one of the main things we're trying to get across on the show, is how technology changes human psychology. If you question the means you employ and what the objective factors of power are in our age, right, then that's the most important question you can ask, right? That's the most critical stance you could actually take, right? Like, most people don't question, how or what means they use to question, to ask the question itself, right? So we're actually taking a critical look at technology, right, as a primary form of communication, as an objective factor of power in our age, right? And we think that basically we're assuming that a lot of the stuff that we see through this medium is totally made up, right, fabricated, and that is based on the fact that it is artifice. It's produced by a machine, right? So we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. So we
True facts, TML. That shit, spitting truth like that, nothing hits harder, man. Much love. And good magic, good looking out. You guys, if you don't know him already, you better go check him out while there's still time. You never know how long they're going to let a man like him spread the message of truth. All right, so at TML, the machine that lies, 9534, I believe is correct follow up for that. You can find it, you can figure it out. I might put it in the description box. I might not. I might pin it as a comment. Yeah, much love to that brother from another mother doing the thing. Ain't nothing but get up there on stage and shake his ass. Yeah, good magic. Guys, hit the like buttons for the algobots. All right, keep them barking. Roof, roof. Motherfuckers like to bark like Pavlov's dog. Aren't we all just barking for the machine? Yeah. Whenever we're getting into it, I do remind you, beloved Wayfarer, check me out at buymecoffee.com/Frank Monday. Don't miss the chance to get on board with the Frank Monday transmission. No new horror can be more terrible than the daily torture of the commonplace. I think you might know who said that, right? So as in the vein of promoting folks, I like to promote folks that I enjoy so that maybe you can enjoy them too. I've promoted a lot of different channels here. Grimface Motivation, Angela Puka, Dr. Justin Sledge, Mr. Jack Talcott, The Machine Lies, of course, in Cyber Caliphate, and any and all folks that participate and like to create a rising tide so that all ships are raised. And one of those good young man, good looking, sexy motherfucker out there shaking his dick is Dweller in the Dark. Now this is his latest piece, I believe, from his channel, but he does audio books and visuals. You know, he's working with the AI. He knows what he's up to. He's a good-hearted young man, legitimate, earnest, and doing good magic. Here's one of his music videos. I believe it's one of his latest drops. I got some favorites on his channel, so you need to check out the rest of his music, man. He's getting fire over there, lit up. Let's see this one, though. This was for the 4th of July, y'all. Oops, my bad, guys. Hit the wrong button, messed around, fucked up, and pulled my video. What's up with that, baby? Add to the stage. You hear that?
From my younger years when all was gold, from misty days
all right. Looking good. Vampires rising up out of the darkness, baby. Get ready for it.
Between the pillar and the pyramid in shape B, always a memory blazing red hot in the grave, always a recollection burning the mists away, as a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the runestone as one, emerald solemnity amidst the leaves, emerald silence as a ghost, it has haunted me for all time. I often wonder if you feel the same. Ancient in the wood, lingering not as a memory, but a sensual sensation that warms us both on cold nights alone. Always a memory blazing red hot in the grey. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rose stone as one. Emerald woods swelling like the sea, tossing of the bright boughs in the sunshine. Sweet smell of the grass and flowers, mountain summer wind upon your cheek. Glorious gloom of the glade, rich, indistinct. Always a memory blazing red hot into the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rose stone as one. And I remember you in my youth, straying together in the brilliance of sun, stumbling, sweating in the heat of afternoon. I left the mysteries of your heart in that forest shade. Standing in the ancient wood, we saw the rise of the roof. Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rune stone as one. Gray stone rising from shimmering grass, you cried out to me as I eclipsed your heart. We ran from love, hearts racing away. We ran from love, heaving in the terror of the unknown. What was so dire that we would not use the passion's fire? Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rune stone as one. How that ageless room remained in my mind, gray as a ghost, it has haunted me for all time. I often wonder if you feel the same. Ancient in the wood, lingering not as a memory, but a sensual sensation that warms us both on cold nights alone. Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rose stone as one. Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rose stone as one. And I remember you in my youth, straying together in the brilliance of sun, stumbling, sweating in the heat of afternoon. I left the mysteries of your heart in that forest shade. Standing in the ancient wood, we saw the rise of the roof. Always a memory blazing red hot in the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rune stone as one. Gray stone rising from shimmering grass, you cried out to me as I eclipsed your heart. We ran from love, hearts racing away. We ran from love, heaving in the terror of the unknown. What was so dire that we would not.
God damn, that's some powerful stuff right there, man. It's good fucking magic. I enjoyed that a lot. Thank you for making that, Dweller in the Dark. Much love to you, Wizard. We got a few more things to get into here. There's his address there. You can find it. I got it up on the screen. I think that's working correctly. Make sure everything's working correctly. I think that's working correctly. Yeah, looking good. Good magic. All right. Don't forget to check me out on Buy Me a Coffee, everyone. Pull something in the tip jar. I don't put the jelly in my donut, the pep in my step. That way I can keep my nose to the grindstone for all y'all good-looking sexy people out there in Happy Land, holding down the fort. Certainly do appreciate it. We got a video that we only made about halfway through last time we checked it out. So let me get it ready. Got it all loaded up, ready to fire away. As we do that, you could take this opportunity to enjoy some time with me and take a deep breath and relax.
Is at first.
Oh, good God, he jumped right in there. Sorry about that, guys. Think of your eye fixation point. Imagine your magical sigil. There it is there. Okay, yeah. So we left off on that video at about 15 minutes. And we're going to pick it up from there, see what more we can learn about King Solomon and continuing studies in magic. Open conversations, by the way, guys. Any and all are welcome, except for the demons. I don't like to listen to the demons groan and spit ichor, their gnashing of teeth, the swishing of their pointy little tail, right? Trying to come at you with their grotesque, malignant horns that they grow from their head. Those foul beasts. They shall receive no audience but that of the brass vessel. You come around me, you're getting trapped, baby, in the cauldron. Gonna get burned alive in the hellfire pits. Yeah, you know where that's at. You know where Sheol lies. Wayfarer. Yeah, let's get into some of this Dr. Justin Sledge. Huh? It's good magic. Esoterica, guys. That's the name of his channel here on YouTube. What do we got here? Oh, yeah, we got to roll that back. Just a little bit, right? A little bit. See what old Dr. Justin Sledge has to say about King Solomon and ongoing conversations and studies in magic.
This is most clearly evidenced in several Hebrew and Aramaic exorcistic texts recovered from the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, I've done a whole episode on just exorcistic literature from the Dead Sea Scrolls. If you want to check that out for a deeper dive, you can find the links below. But in summary, David becomes a kind of prototypical exorcist given his ability to treat King Saul's bouts of madness via song. Solomon, as the son of David, the Ben David, would inherit this ability, and that phrase, Ben David, son of David, would eventually develop both exorcistic and messianic valences in Hebrew. This combination is on very strong display in texts like the Gospels, where the character of Jesus embodies both valences. However, our earliest literary evidence for Solomon as an exorcist is, as I mentioned, from the Dead Sea Scrolls, with a text like 11Q Apocryphal Psalms being a great example. This relatively rare and sadly fragmentary scroll is composed of 4 psalms, one of which is a canonical psalm, Psalm 91, which were all used apparently in the process of exorcism. The core of the ritual was interrogating the demonically possessed person with the phrase mi'ata, who are you? Speaking in this case to the demon, to gain power and control over said demon so as to cast them out or subject them to further punishment. This was
Yeah, you might want to just contemplate that for a moment, right? If you're a magician, you have the power to cast out demons in God's name, of course. And it's I think it's highly important what God name you use. And well, it's it's up to you. I guess it's individual practitioner will get the feedback that seems right for them. In my experiment, yeah, I won't pontificate on it too much. I've sealed up most of the teaching in the last 2,000 videos, so I'll try not to loop on anything I've covered. But if you want to learn more about the magical path and Go back to some of the foundational videos, earlier videos that I made, because I put a lot of effort into those. Hopefully they'll withstand the test of time, but who knows? You gotta give me some leeway. I was a much younger magician back then. Maybe in my mid 40s. I guess I've been doing this whole YouTube racket for about 8 to 10 years. Yeah, so mid 40s. That shows you where I'm at now. Yeah, I just dated myself. No big deal. We got other things we got to do today, guys. So we've got we're at the halfway point. So I'll remind you to check me out on buymeacoffee.com. Put a little something in the grift jar. All right, get that done. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Get some good magic done. Anyone listening, I got the link dropped in the ideas room here. So if you're interested in discussing ideas along the lines of the content presented, then yeah, be sure to chime in and check me out. We got a couple of other things. Okay, yeah, so that's what I wanted to share with you. Let me see real quick. Yeah, so there it is there. Yeah, everything's looking good. So yeah, let's continue with the video a little bit.
Accomplished by both using the divine name, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, in a ritually powerful way, and or basically threatening the demon with all manner of punishments unless they reveal their true name and basically relinquish power over the possession. Psalm 91.
Oh, yeah, I have to comment on that for a second, guys, because he just said that so casually. The god named Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. He's just spitting it like it ain't shit. And, wow. I will have to preempt this to let you know that Dr. Justin Sledge is not a magical practitioner. He said of himself that he's never endeavored to do so. And so he doesn't know the efficacy of many of these things he's talking about. He's just doing it as a scholar. But as a natural magician and a practicing magician, I'm here to tell you that old Yahava, right? We're not allowed to say that technically under the confines of rabbinic law, but there it is there. It's going to blast it out to you. But yeah, I guess it's more appropriate to say Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Jehovah, or Adonai, something along those lines, right? But many so-called Christians claim Yeshua and the power of Yeshua, and it's never from my experimentation that name is kind of low value. Maybe it would strike back some regular anxieties or fears at the superficial level of the psyche, but when you get into deep demonic possession, it's only the name of the Father that works. And so I thought I would let him repeat what he just said here, because he glossed over it so quickly. He just I don't even think he knows himself what he really just said when it comes to this kind of thing. So let's listen again.
Which were all used apparently in the process of exorcism. The core of the ritual was interrogating the demonically possessed person with the phrase Mi ata, who are you, speaking in this case to the demon, to gain power and control over said demon so as to cast them out or subject them to further punishment. This was accomplished by both using the divine name, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, in a ritually powerful way, and or basically threatening the demon with all manner of punishments unless they reveal their true name and basically relinquish power over the possessed person. This structure of using the divine name, the Mi ata, who are you formulation, along with various supernatural feats, becomes the core of not only Western exorcism, but also of Solomonic magical practice more generally. Indeed, the bridge to that practice is the Testament of Solomon, the earliest known text in which Solomon is described as using a kind of magical ring to bind and control demons, specifically in the service of the construction of the Jerusalem temple. Of course, the ability to control demons is a logical extension of exorcism. If one can obtain control over demons so as to force them to depart from a possessed person, then why not just use them for something useful, like building a temple? Again, I've done a whole episode on the Testament of Solomon. Find those links below if you want to get really into that text.
I'd like to interject here just for a moment that, again, he studies these things and he presents them in a wonderfully academic manner. And he has a ton of support, and he absolutely deserves it, right? It's a very professional gig going on here. Screen overlays, right? Well researched and well presented. Deep penetrating insights into these studies that we all enjoy so much, right? One thing he's overlooking, though, I think, is the actual truth of the words he's speaking about these things, because he does not know it himself. And I would present that what Solomon was actually up to, and what the allegory of bin David, the son of David, is Antiquitech. It's King Solomon bringing forward Antiquitech, trapping spirits in vast vessels like Baghdad batteries, and having dark mirrors to communicate through dimensions, right? That's all pretty overtly obvious at the face level, I would imagine. But many people don't see it. They don't know what he was up to in building the original temple. And I don't think anyone could rebuild it today except for a group of powerful magicians that know what's up. But we're getting closer, and maybe the veil is being torn back, right? The rending of the veil, and I guess it absolutely is at the microcosmic level, right? Once you hit 50, you're on the downhill slope towards mortality, right? Memento mori, remember you must die. And so the rending of the veil just continues. And if you can survive another 50 years, I think you'll see most of the veil completely ripped away for the abject horror that is reality, right? The daily torture of the commonplace. I'll let him pontificate a little more here. Opine.
One of the best in history when it comes to, I don't know, Solomonic literature, but just demonological literature more generally. But this first-person text, told as if by Solomon, details how he came to gain control over demons in the construction of the temple via a powerful ring. And that wraps us all the way back to the historian Josephus, where we learn that, quote, God also enabled Solomon to learn that skill which expels demons, which is a science, useful and sanative to men. He composed such incantations.
Yeah, another bold statement that he just rolled over, right? That the casting out of demons is a science, right? And it's held by few, and it's mostly kept within the tight grip of certain institutions, right? But I would think I'm pretty close to that level that I can cast out demons. I've cast quite a few demons out of myself, right? And I've been fairly successful in keeping most of them at bay to present. There are a couple lurking there in the shadows still, but they're mostly bound and constricted. The greater demon that one must face, right, and continues to face throughout life, in the dark night of the soul and the crossing of the abyss. People would presume upon intellectual brilliance to say that you get that work done one time. You don't. You keep working at it. You keep crossing the abyss and getting back to the supernal triad, the timeless homeland, the celestial realm. But then you're drugged right back into it, right back into the fray of the colored dust of the prime material plane. Right, more demons show up, and don't worry. There's a brass vessel for every single demon out there. So I got you covered.
Like the ones we've seen in the Dead Sea Scrolls, also by which distempers are alleviated. And he left behind him the manner of using exorcisms by which they drive away demons so that they never return. And we're even told that a certain exorcist, Eliezer, even performed an exorcism in the presence of Vespasian and his sons and his captains and a whole multitude of soldiers by the use of a magical ring and Solomonic incantations. So Josephus also locates Solomon in this whole world of exorcism/incantation literature. Further, the mi'ata, who are you, what is your name formula, is also just found in the Gospels, especially in the case of the demon-lame Legion, but also in the binding mechanism in the Testament of Solomon. Indeed, the core structural unit of the Testament of Solomon is the mi'ata, who are you, what is your name, though here in Greek and not in Hebrew, followed by the name of the demon, their description and astrological information, their respective thwarting angel, that is to say the angel that corresponds to kicking them out and making them doing things, them being bound over to the power of Solomon, or the Magus more generally, and their specific service, often very menial, and the construction of the temple. And while most of the Testament is merely descriptive, the C recension of the text begins to move quite more solidly in the direction of using the text for magical praxis. A specifically Christian text, on the other hand, the Questions of Bartholomew, in which the titular character asks Jesus to see Satan, or Beliar in this point. Jesus then gets a retinue of angels to drag the enchained satanic figure from hell, the sight of which actually kills all the gathered apostles from fright. But of course,
Wow, is that biblically accurate what he just said right there? Again, he goes over a lot of this stuff like it's just ain't no thing. But you've got King Solomon in the temple, building the temple, in fact, working Antiquitech, and entire legions of, he says all the apostles at this point, are just wiped out from certain acts that he's engaged in. And he's the only wizard powerful enough in the temple and building the temple to, survive that type of thing. That shows the kind of high-powered angelic magic we're working with here. Divine magic, right? Divine magic is what it was. And even if you use it as an allegory and say he's speaking metaphorically, right? It still means that he wrote up a sigil, which could be a letter out to the kingdom, and invited certain spirits forward, like an architect, right? Hiram Abiff, or and everything that comes with that spirit, right? Imagine a master architect brings with him all of his craftsmen and journeymen and apprentices, right? So he comes with a legion, and so the king at the center makes a sigil, a magical command. Beings respond to that, whether they be of a spiritual, like if he says demons, but just think of it in the form of that daemon energy or that insight returning through man, right? And maybe that man comes in and he's representing that head demon of architecture or whatever, bricklaying, bringing forth the food and the cooking. And imagine all of the myriad of aspects that go into the building of a temple and the assemblage and management of a people by a king, right? And the whole underlying greater story is that is you at a certain stage in the major arcana. That is the fool's journey, the hero's journey, the magician in the temple and building your own temple and casting the demons out and getting them under control and this kind of thing. So it can be applied at many levels, allegorically, metaphorically, proverbially, biblically, so on and so on ad nauseum.
of course, Jesus uses his powers to bring them all back from the dead, after which he guides Bartholomew to trod upon the neck of Beliar, questioning him, saying, "Tell me how you are, and what is your name?" After which he does further interrogate the prince of the demons, with Jesus noting that such spirits were first subjugated to Solomon. So even here in early Christian literature, the text of Bartholomew was incredibly popular. We already have it that Solomon was first able to have power over demons.
There you go. So a lot of people question and they say, hey, well, Frank Monday, if that's, when they meet me, they don't know anything about this backstory, right? So they're like, well, why Solomonic magic in combination with Chinese esoteric Taoism? And I say, because Tao was my first love. And I thought this is the purest truth, unadorned, without any overt human opining or articulation onto what they thought it meant too much. Just the brass tacks of the documents that dated all the way back to 500 BC, right? And it seemed simple enough that a Kabbalah, right, a oral tradition, could bring the Tao Te Ching forward, right? Whereas all the other commentaries by whoever it may be, Gohong Shangzi, Xingzu, Kongzi, so on, Zhuangzi, so on and so forth, they're just elaborating on the Tao. Then you can start to pick and choose which of the Taoist schools of thought do I align mostly with. And if you guys don't know, I align mostly with Zhuangzi, which is the playful inquiry into Tao through the use of humor and koans, right? Like mind riddles. Very simple examples of them are like, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Or if a tree falls in the woods and nobody hears it, does it make any sound, right? So on and so on. So conundrum type things. My horns are too big to fit through the gate or through the door, as it were, said the monk, right, to the master. I got big horns too, baby. You gotta watch out sometimes. That old maniacal ego rising up from time to time. Let's get a little more into it, man. Dr. Justin Sledge, you're doing good magic here, guys. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate everyone listening. Much love and blessings.
The notion that Solomon employed a magical ring with a specific seal or sign of power on it also appears during this period in earnest. Of course, magical rings are well attested in antiquity, perhaps the most famous being the Ring of Gyges in Plato's Republic, which had the ability to make its wearer invisible, and also gave them the ability to do evils that they wouldn't normally do, and probably became one of the models, one of the inspirations for Tolkien's Ring of Power. But at least 3 such magical rings are known to be found in the Greek magical papyri, and some early Christian amulets also invoke the power of Solomon's rings as a...
It's funny too, like think about that. So Solomon had a magic ring. There's at least 3, he says, right? He's getting into this. He'll start digging into it and I'll let him continue. But let me opine for just a moment of time, if you will, here on the Frank Monday channel as your host and guide, Wayfarer. 3 documented by them, but imagine how many went undocumented and that are still existent and are in private collections, and maybe even the bearer of the ring, the owner of the ring, doesn't know its true power, because that type of ring would only be useful to a magician that understands how valuable a magical item of that nature could be, right? So that's good magic to think about. And I have a few of such rings, and I tried to get my hands on one more recently, but the party involved was unwilling to part with it. And I was like, damn, come on now. But that's all right. I got my own, and I'm sure you have yours as well. Talismans, amulets, magical rings, and things of value to you, right? At least whatever you believe to be true is true, at least for you.
Guard against various demons and fevers, as if there's much difference between the two. And this brings us to an interesting tension in the Solomonic tradition, especially vis-a-vis Christianity. As I mentioned earlier, the phrase Ben David, the son of David, had taken on both exorcistic and messianic overtones just before the turn of the Common Era. And that bivalence is quite clear in the Gospels, with the bulk of Jesus' miracles actually being, well, exorcistic or healing, and those were often combined in the ancient world, both often serving to do basically the same thing. Thus, in the divorce between Christianity and Judaism, Solomon becomes a bit of a complicated character, as he is the literal Ben David and recognized as the exorcist par excellence. In one sense, Jesus is often depicted as a second, better Solomon, without all the fun, lecherous stuff. But on the other hand, Solomon's...
Yeah, quick little slight there at Solomon. That's all right, Pointy shoes dude's gonna do what pointy shoes do. Pointy shoes dudes do. Right there, you finally got to spit it out. Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon, guys. Frank Monday coming at you once again like Finnegan from the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon. Twilight Zone, Old Peking. Take a deep breath and relax. Imagine your magical sigil shining before you in Stygian black. Sink it within that dark mirror, darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery, and then let it go, man. Decree it to be, so mote it be, and then wait for that echo, man, that fucking powerful response from the responsive nature of the universal energy. I am your friend and well-wisher, Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon, coming at you once again like Finnegan. Help me reach 1,000 subs, guys, man. Either share one of my videos out or secretly sub a friend, maybe your grandma, do what's got to be done to grow with the channel and provide the support we need here to expand the show and make it, every time we do that, we make it better. Folks that sent me buy me a coffee funds or other types of funds. I've got this wonderful, beautiful microphone in front of me right now. I got a much nicer camera, and I actually have a collection of Bluetooth devices that all have been funded by the community that support the magical teaching. So yeah, that can be done at Buy Me a Coffee, and I welcome it. And I welcome your participation as well, man. I think I put the link in the chat already. If any of you out there in Happy Land want to jump on board. As you know, I don't like to go more than an hour if nobody joins the show, because I feel like if I do, I get too far off into pontificating. So I'll toss it in there one more time, and then we'll look at a little more of this, and maybe we'll do some reading later, right? Like after the first hour, and then the panels open as always, and let's see where it goes from there.
Reputation as exorcist in chief wasn't easily passed over, and it certainly wasn't going to be forgotten. And you can even see this tension in some Gnostic texts, such as the Second Treatise of the Great Seth, where both David and Solomon are seen as kind of failed precursors to Christ. Thus, in early Christian amulets, you'll have both language like Jesus Christ conquers, but also right alongside imagery or even incantations invoking the power of Solomon along with rings and seals associated with him. It just seems redundant to have both. If you have Christ, why need Solomon? That's
Well, because to each his own, right? Some want to be Christ-like, others want to be more like Solomon, right? And so, for me personally, I know that if you follow the path of Solomon, it's a little more hurtful than the one of Christ, right? Christ both lead to salvation, I believe, with firm conviction, because they're both in service to the Father God and they're both children of God, right? Jesus never denied that. He didn't say he was the one and only, and I've heard that in the Christian doctrine, right? The only begotten Son of God. That's you take that for what it is, right? I believe that we were all called sons and daughters of God, and that elitism, right? Whoever chooses to be the Son of God is the Son of God, and we can, you got to work for that connection, right? But you can do it in the manner of Solomon, you can do it in the manner of Christ. Hell, you can do it in the manner of Moses, the old man with the beard, right? Or King David himself. It's up to you. Obviously, those are archetypes throughout our historic record, and you can. I'll just leave it there. It is what it is, right?
the tension. And that theological tension continues well into medieval Christian history, with more orthodox factions arguing that the name of Jesus alone is sufficient for exorcism, with any of that Solomonic trapping being either just Judaizing heresy or satanic collusion, or, well, both.
And I might go on to define it a little more as happy horse shit, right? Because you can get the Christ consciousness achieved without any of that, without the Bible itself, right? The word, the living word of God means just that. The Bible is a biblical record. All of the books out there are records of some kind. Even science itself is a collection of records. And once you have the method and you can approach God with sincerity and genuineness and get a little more eye to eye with him, you see that there's a bigger and broader God as well. And that one's far more terrifying, right? And if you level up to face him, you might not make it back. I'll tell you that much right there. But you might be like one of those benign little benevolent souls that's constantly seeking and comes back to spread the message, the good word, the joy of reaching above. Yeah, I put the link in there one more time, guys, and then we're pushing hard on the first hour, man. We've already done a lot of good magic, and let's see how much more we can get into.
Thus, Solomon will come to inhabit a kind of liminal space in the Christian imaginary, always associated with not quite orthodox dealing with demonic forces, a tension already apparent in these early Christian amulets.
Right, he's heterodox. All hail the father Dagon. All hail the mother Hydra, Astaroth. The stars have aligned, and Cthulhu is risen.
Amulets, and perhaps even already in the New Testament. Of course, Solomon's going to make a few appearances in the vast collection of the Greek magical papyri, a collection of highly syncretistic Greco-Egyptian magical literature, and these would include everything from inducing a trance state known actually as the Solomonic collapse, mysterious references to the glances or the eyes of Solomon, very
Wow. Take it back a minute. He's covering way too much. A Solomonic collapse, right? The sleep of Sialam, the trance state, the gaze, the eye, right? The magical eye, the wizard's intent, shifting into different dimensions and summoning spirits. I think you know what all of this means, Wayfarer. If you've had even the slightest amount of magical inquiry, he's getting into the spiritual powers here, which are gifts from the Father God into his children. So why not be a child of God? Why miss out on all this good magic? Fuck, that's my biggest question for y'all out there in Happy Land.
Early Christian amulets, and perhaps even already in the New Testament. Of course, Solomon's going to make a few appearances in the vast collection of the Greek magical papyri, a collection of highly syncretistic Greco-Egyptian magical literature, and these would include everything from inducing a trance state known actually as the Solomonic collapse, mysterious references to the glances or the eyes of Solomon, various charms against scorpions, and, of course, an exorcism incantation found in the Great Paris Magical Manual, that is PGM4. Along with his emergent association with magic more generally, Hellenization would also see Solomon painted as a kind of hermetic sage. Yeah, Solomon as hermetic sage. Composed sometime around the turn of the Common Era, the Wisdom of Solomon is perhaps one of the most early important texts of Greco-Hebrew Solomonic lore. And in chapter 7 of that book, we're told of the vast nature of Solomon's wisdom, which is said to include knowledge of all existence, of all being, the structure of the universe, the operation of the elements, along with the cycles of the seasons and the years.
All right, guys, he just laid out basically your entire magical curriculum right there, right? So you could review back and see all the things he talked about, but the general inventory of the magician's bag, so to speak, right? And I guess that's why I'm lucky, because I learned early on that these were the key essential factors, the tools that we needed to be actualized beings in the prime material plane, and then to retreat from it, right? Across the foundation and into higher realms. And now that I can use that language pretty freely, good magic. I'm glad I'm having these epiphanies right here with you, Wayfarer. It really means a lot to me. And so it means that all of the good work that I've done in coming to these epiphanies through the course of my channel, minus the 1,000 videos that I threw in the trash can because of YouTube, the ones with all real adult language where I was pulling no fucking punches. Anyway, c'est la vie, right? To do your work and let go of it. So I'm sure they have a record of the 1,000 videos I deleted in 2 days one time. I think they actually let me get about 700 of them deleted before they totally blocked me. They kept blocking me though. Every time I do like 100 videos, they block me and maybe delete 50 of them. And they're sorting through it. They're letting their algorithms piecemeal and parse through what they think they'll keep for themselves and what they'll let me shit can. So they won't let you shit can it all, man. Once you've created it, they've taken possession of it, and they're going to use it in whatever way they see fit. I don't think any of us have a hoodwink onto that reality. But let's let him finish off the video, guys, and then we'll get into some readings.
Further, he knows the positions of the stars, the nature of all living creatures, of all spirits, and of all human beings, along with the powers of various roots and herbs. The knowledge of what is hidden and the knowledge of what is manifest. The Greek of these sections, if you read them, should ring in the ear as having a distinctive hermetic quality, and perhaps seeks to present Solomon as a kind of rival to Hermes Trismegistus, the Egyptian sage, or perhaps as a rival to Egyptian wisdom more generally, something that country was prized for in the ancient world. Josephus, for his part, also extends Solomon's knowledge to include the panoply of received philosophical, spiritual, and textual wisdom of his day. Solomon becomes a kind of Israelite answer to someone like Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah, good magic. Solomon becomes an answer to the Hellenistics, Hermes Trismegistus, to the ancient Chinese, many sages of this caliber, right? But one of my favorites, personal favorite, is Liu Dongping and the Baxian Guohai, or the 8 Great Immortals. And so that's one of the highest stories of the octahedron, right? If you know it, you know it. If you don't, then you don't, right? And so how many out there of you know the true throne of the Divine One in the celestial sphere, right? Some of you do. Not all of you. Most of you are hanging out down there, and not most of you here, but most of humanity, the NPCs, the goyim, as they call them, right? They're hanging out there in the dredges, the sewers, just flopping around like like what do they call that one? A brown trout. You know, don't let don't let any brown trouts in, guys. Keep doing good magic. Yeah, I got to get myself another strong brew of the old black magic. And meanwhile, we'll let him finish off the video here. I think there's a couple of minutes left, and as long as he doesn't say anything too powerfully insightful, I'll let him chime on. Remember, guys, Lao-Tzu warned us that those who know do not speak, and those who speak do not know. So if someone's talking, they're just giving you their opinion. All right. Enough said.
And as I mentioned earlier, Solomon is invoked in a wide range of amulets, both Christian and Jewish, in the first few centuries of the Common Era. He appears in the famous incantation bowls of Nippur in Babylon, Aramaic incantation scrolls carved into lead, and various other elements, often designating him as the son of David, the Ben David, and along with his magical ring, as all now becoming stable elements of the Solomonic character. Perhaps the most famous class of these Solomonic amulets of this period are the Solomon the Horseman type amulet. Probably based on Roman coinage of the time, these hematite amulets typically depict Solomon mounted upon a horse, spearing a female demon, maybe Lilith, in the chest. Many of
Wow, he went over that pretty quick. Does that mean Solomon murdered Lilith? Some people still pray to Lilith, but if Solomon drove her back and away from this realm, right, the Mother Hydra, into the abyss, then they're just calling out into a fathomless vortex. I'll have to do more research into that. That's good to know. That type of entity, though, can re-emerge into the world. We've got to be careful. They're really trying to bring back hardcore, right now. The Dark Celestials, they're trying to summon her across the deep. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Jehovah's on high, brother and sister, and he's keeping careful watch over this realm.
these spell out Solomon's name and include the phrase Sfragis Theo, or seal of God, on the reverse, though no specific Solomonic seal is depicted. That's going to be centuries later. The iconography of these Jewish amulets would eventually migrate to Christian imagery, with Solomon gaining a halo and his spear eventually terminating into a cross. And versions of these amulets would also include various animals, demons, and even the evil eye being attacked, and along with various inscriptions, nomina barbara, and magical signs or characteres. These amulets survived in significant numbers, and this probably again attests to their popularity. Solomon was just known all through the ancient world for his ability to deal with demons. That such amulets survive in such significant numbers attests to their popularity and to the idea of Solomon as having this power. In the Talmudic legend found in Tractate Gittin 68a, Solomon is faced with a specific conundrum within Jewish law. The altar, and by extension the temple itself, must be constructed of unhewn stone. That is to say, stone that's not been shaped by iron tools.
Yeah, so I guess he's going to go on to answer the question, or at least ask the question. If the stone is not hewn by iron tools, then how was it formulated and put into place, right? And that's one of the most pending questions in all of antiquity, with many of these old world buildings that they're quickly dismantling as many as they can, the ones they can't explain anyway, and then the ones that are probably the most wonderful and enjoyable, only the highest elite are allowing themselves to enjoy, right? And they're keeping them totally off limits to all the people in the international ghettos of the world. If you want to go to one of those nice retreats where the pure streams still flow, you got to pay big dollar, because there's some seriously big dogs at the party, and you're not invited. Yeah, so it was magic, guys, and it still is magic, and they're lording it over you. But we're unraveling the secrets a little bit, one by one. You, me, and the other guy, right? We're getting magic done.
But how is it possible to construct a huge structure with unworked stone? Well, the answer, of course, is a magical worm known as the shamir, which is able to cut stone without the use of iron. But then how does one get a shamir? Well, again, this should all just be pretty obvious. You go and capture a demon, you torture them until they confess that the only person who knows where to get the Shamir is the king of the demons, Asmodeus, and
Yeah, like I said a moment ago, guys, you're dealing with some of the biggest dogs in the park when you go out looking for this antiquitech that he's talking about. It's interesting to me that he's talking about it so openly, but he hasn't made any reference or connection in and of himself. And that's because he's taking a scholarly approach, and nobody out there in the intelligentsia or the academia wants to reveal to you that the way they got it done and the way we always suspected was through the use of magic and through bringing things in from other dimensions and then using them in the prime material plane to establish their foothold and their dominion over us, right? So they're not just going to openly reveal the secrets like Frank Monday will for you right here on live radio. Y'all good looking sex people, keep making it happen. We'll let him finish off his video and then we'll get into some readings. So sit back and enjoy the show.
so you need to go get Asmodeus drunk, chain him with magical chains, and then drag him back to Jerusalem. There you find out that while Asmodeus knows where the Shamir is, it's guarded on a distant mountain by a sacred bird known as a Dukhifat. There is an Aramaic pun here for those who care, who actually ultimately tricks it into letting the Shamir go and then subsequently kills himself in shame for breaking the oath for protecting the Shamir. Well, the Shamir is eventually brought back to Jerusalem, and Solomon and Asmodeus themselves jointly oversee the construction of the temple. Eventually, Solomon is tricked by Asmodeus into removing his chains, and then he actually eats Solomon's magical ring and knocks him several hundred miles into the air. Asmodeus then takes over the throne of Israel, and Solomon eventually retakes the throne.
Wow, it's very interesting to me that once you're a little bit awake, like you can see how openly they're revealing to us that that these so-called legendary stories are actually very close to the truth of what was going down. I mean, we can see a very powerful battle between high-leveled entities with access to various forms of what back then they called magic, but right now we just see it emerging as technology, right? But is there a difference between the two? That's what you got to ask. And I think there is. I think that Antiquitech was somehow even more powerful than the tech. I mean, somehow obviously more powerful than the technology we're using today, because we see their old world buildings that survived and many of the things that were left behind, the remnants of their societies, being of the utmost beauty, perfect symmetry, exquisite power, and just unfucking believable mind-blowing levels of beauty and harmony and interaction in the creation of everything they did. God, I mean, it's not hard for me to fathom the truth in this biblical narrative and other narratives of that nature. I mean, here in China, we have just endless amounts of paintings and stories and maps and dialogue about the way the ancients achieved high levels of magic and even relative physical immortality to some extent, right? Whether it be within this dimension of the current prime material plane playing out through this reality and this specific timeline or not, right? That doesn't matter. To get into the speculation of it is more than I'm willing to do, but I'm willing to research and investigate their techniques to see if they work. And once you have that master method, you just keep playing it out until, it either proves absolute or it proves to be faulty, and then you adapt and adjust and learn and move forward with all of those wonderful magical synchronicities that are guiding you home.
Or maybe he doesn't. There's rabbinical disagreement about whether or not Asmodeus continues to rule or whether Solomon gets it back. There's disagreement because, surprise, surprise, rabbis. Finally, by the 7th century, legends of Solomon's power over demons had reached Arabia, with Solomon appearing in the Quran as having power over the wind, over certain animals, especially ants, and being able to compel the jinn to aid him in various construction projects. However, like Jewish and Christian sources of the time, the Quran makes it abundantly clear that Allah had provided such powers to Solomon and that he never himself practiced magic as taught by demons. Of course, such a disclaimer about Solomon also indicates that Solomon practicing magic as taught by demons was, at least in some form or fashion, a belief held by enough people that the Quran had to address it. Again, when you say things aren't the case, that typically indicates that people believe that it is. Solomon himself would go on to become a major prophet in Islam and features prominently in Islamic mythology more generally. Thus, by the late classical and early medieval period, Solomon had become transformed from the glorious, rich, and wise third king of ancient Israel to a sage with vast supernatural powers, often associated with demons.
And here's where I think they deviated during the medieval ages, right? And the church sought to malign Solomon's practice of angelic and God entitled magic to an evil path of self-destruction by abandoning the Lord, right? They tried to make it a what is it, like a bit of propaganda. Truth being, Solomon achieved all of the heights that he achieved, and he did not betray God, because I don't think that's true. I'm on a Solomonic path, and I have no intention of betraying God to the pagan gods of foreign women, right? Like he did. But that's kind of what I'm doing to some extent, right? In having followed this path here to China, but I do not engage in idolatry, and I hold the sacred name and the triune force of truth. That's it right there. That's what Zelda in the Legend of Zelda. That's what Link was talking about. The Link, the Trinity, right? All hail the Father Dagon. All hail the Mother Hydra. The stars align. Cthulhu is risen. What a wonderful, beautiful message from the Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon here in the Eastern Lodge, your friend and well-wisher, Frank Monday. We do have a visitor in Happy Land out in the Ideas Room. Good to see you, Moon Rocks, man. I hope you're doing well. What a lovely thing. What a bright, brilliant energy force to encounter here today. I did put the link in the Ideas Room if you want to join the show. And we're going to just finish this off and do some readings, and any participation is welcome.
However, with a few exceptions, that wisdom of Solomon was primarily described in the lore, just described in the lore. That is, that Solomon of these early periods very rarely acts to teach the reader his occult knowledge. But, of course, many reading of such vast arcane powers would want just those powers for themselves. And as people are wont to do, the lack of such text becomes an invitation to produce them.
And there it is there, right? Copyright infringement on King Solomon. Here's where the pirating and manipulation and transmission gets distorted, where the elites start hoarding away all of the most powerful manuscripts, whether they can read them or not. Like Moonrock's Ricardo Sunshine knows Voy. Voy did some good magic, right? In transliterating and transcribing, and I believe he said he interpreted or translated the Voynich manuscript, and that's why he calls himself Voy. If so, man, that's a high-level doctorate achievement there. So we better start calling him Dr. Voy, right? The Voyager from beyond. Yeah, he may have been the one that created it in another lifetime, right? And that's why he was able to translate it. He may just be the originator, the OG author of the book itself. Yeah, so blessings, everyone. Good looking out. I think this video is almost over. I think he's just gonna give his channel spiel here at the end. So yeah, it's been good magic. It's been good fun. Let's finish it off and see where it takes us.
And it would become during this period that the first handbooks of Solomonic magic would first appear, such that for now over 1,500 years, handbooks of Solomonic magic have become the core occult tradition of the West. And it's to that literature and to Solomon as magus, as magician, that we'll turn to next. Claude Lecoteau and Pablo Torrejano have produced two of the best studies of the esoteric dimensions of King Solomon, and both of their books are well worth reading and diving into. Of course, Dr. Stephen Skinner has written extensively on Solomonic magic and is rightly admired by the occult community.
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to read any of Dr. Stephen David Skinner. Is that what he said his name was? Yeah, Skinner, Dr. Skinner's books, because they're so expensive and I wouldn't even know how to get them shipped. I mean, what a thing to be able to own some of those, but I'm probably expounding in my own right everything that he's writing about, and I'm suspicious that that's possible, because the transmission, once it reaches a certain level, will appear to many sages in the realm simultaneously. Just he has the talent to write them down and get published, whereas my talent lies here in running the FM radio show, right? Frank Monday Radio, coming at you once again like Finnegan from the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking, reminding listeners to check me out at buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. Pull something in the tip jar and keep the FM radio alive. I think he's pretty much done here, and then we'll do some readings. So let me he'll finish his spiel. You should sub him. Esoterica, Dr. Justin Sledge, everyone.
And his works are well worth digging into. But we're going to come back to Solomon the Magus in a future episode. Don't worry. Until then, I'm Dr. Justin Sledge, and thank you for watching Esoterica, where we explore the arcane in history, philosophy, and religion.
And keep doing good magic. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Justin Sledge. I hope you appreciate my commentary and analysis of your video for academic research, right? I think it's good magic. I think that's exactly what the whole fair use thing is about, guys. And yeah, get it done, man. He's doing good magic. I am going to take a musical break, and then I'll think about whether or not I want to do some readings of Israel Regardi, or if I just want to roll off into the abodes of the future. I dropped the link, guys. It's more fun if takes two to tango. If not, I may or may not come back for readings. But let's do a little magical break, or a little musical break here, rather. Sorry, I think I clicked the right button, but it doesn't seem to be responding. Okay, yeah, there it is there, and yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm missing something. Why is it coming up? Oh, there it is.
From my younger years when all was gold, from misty days which now seem unreal, I remember the grey room in the wood, between the pillar and the pyramid in shape B. Always a memory blazing red hot in the grave, always a recollection burning the mists away, as a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rune stone as one. Emerald solemnity amidst the leaves, emerald silence, this church of green, crushed on and shone in my tender years, and always, always with some hints of wonder, always a memory blazing red hot into the grave, always a recollection burning the mists away, as a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the rune stone as one. And I remember you in my youth, straying together in the brilliance of sun, stumbling, sweating in the heat of afternoon. I left the mysteries of your heart in that forest. haunted me for all time. I often wonder if you feel the same. Ancient in the wood, lingering not as a memory, but a sensual sensation that warms us both on cold nights alone. Always a memory blazing red hot in the grave. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the runestone as one. Emerald woods swelling like the sea, tossing of the bright boughs in the sunshine. Sweet smell of the grass and flowers, mountain summer wind upon your cheek. Glorious gloom of the glade, rich, indistinct. Always a memory blazing red hot into the gray. Always a recollection burning the mists away. As a dream fading in the afternoon sun, when you and I loved under the runestone as one. Then I remember you in my youth, straying together in the brilliance of sun, stumbling in the heat of afternoon. I left the mysteries of your heart in that forest shade.
All right. 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 Good magic, man. Yeah, I enjoyed that. So that is Dweller in the Dark. He's got a YouTube channel here on the platform, and you guys should definitely check him out. He's doing good work. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll do a little magical reading for a while, guys, and see how that goes. Maybe we'll finish off this second hour, and then we'll get moving on into the abodes of the future. In the meantime, I am broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, Twilight Zone Old Peking, with deeper studies into the mystic arts. Let's see where it's at here, guys. I believe I got it loaded up correctly. Yes, indeed. Good magic. Coming through strong. Like King Kong. This is an essay done by Israel Regardi. Rest in peace, Memento Mori, brother. Frater Adonai. Yeah. Oh, his magical name is intense, man. You should check it out. In discussing magic, the reader's pardon must be sought if reference is continually made to a technical, philosophical system named the Kabbalah. They are so interlaced that it is well nigh impossible to separate them. Kabbalah is theory and philosophy, an oral tradition. And I don't think that I've read the entire canon of Kabbalah, guys. I just use one tool from it, this geometrical glyph named the Tree of Life. The rest, I've looked into studies of it, but it's far beyond my ken. That would require an entire lifetime of study. And I've penetrated deep enough into the truth that I know that those aspects, those historical record, the historic record of those warring tribes doesn't really have that much to do with me in modern times, right? I mean, sure, you'd say the genetic code comes from that ancient pool of battling entities, but we're in the present moment and we have to face it with the tools we have at our disposal. All right, so on the other hand, magic is the practical application of that theory. In the Kabbalah is a geometrical glyph named the Tree of Life, which is really a symbolic map both of the universe and its major aspects, right? Major arcana, and its microcosm, man, the minor arcana. Right. Upon this map are depicted 10 principal continents, so to say, or 10 elixir fields of activity and stimulation, where the scintillating forces constituting or underlying the universal energy and its expression function in their respective ways. In man, these are analyzable into 10 facets of consciousness, 10 modes of spiritual activity. Oh yeah, interesting to think, as I was practicing the Kabbalah a moment ago on Jack Talcott's show. You guys can go check it out if you want. my energy oscillated entirely from Tifereth into Gabura, right? The flaming energy of righteous fury came forward. I was in control though. I was tempering it with the mercy of Hesed. I never go too far in the side of Gabura, right? You guys know me. You know me better than that. In man, these analyze blah 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 blah. They are so-called Sephiroths. I cannot enter more fully into an outline of this map here, though I have repeatedly referred to it here and there in other essays. But the reader will find it adequately described in various books or articles on the subject. And I would question the veracity of that statement, saying you kind of got to know what you're doing in order to parse through all the various books on these things. But I would say Rigardi's transmission is pretty clear to a modern adept. I mean, again, like Dr. Angela Puka was saying, he's the one that psychologicalized the language of the Kabbalah, or at least parts of it. Just Magick was his biggest concern. He wasn't being overly Judaistic in his approach, though that's what he's mired in, right? And the only real add element at that time, per se, from the Western mystery tradition, which I don't have the equanimous understanding that someone like the Machine Lies has, is, well, I got lost in my thought there for a second. The only other add element was Hinduism, and the Western mystery tradition itself was already such a great amalgamation that it didn't do much, I think, to affect the vibration. But now that Tao is also an add element, which it wasn't when I was a kid, it was just coming onto the scene, right? And we even had a saying, well, Tao had already made an appearance in the form of Zen, but that's what we, in my generation, right, born early 70s, would say of Tao coming into the Western current. We said, that was Zen, this is Tao. So Tao is a form of Zen Buddhism is a form of Taoism, but Tao is the pure original source of the Chinese current. Okay, and it's quite a thing too. It's an amalgamation in and of itself. And once you get into Tao, you're going to find that there are just as many sects as there are in Christianity, right? So that becomes an entirely new Pandora's box to unravel, and that's not something I'm getting into. What I'm getting into is bringing that add element forward through the system of magic the way that I understand it, and exposing to you how I came to that understanding, right? Israel Rigardi's entire canon I've read numerous times, especially when I was young, and so it formulated the entire foundational understanding of my young thought, right? And well into my early 20s. Then I gave it up for, I don't know, 15, 20 years as I studied Chinese Tao here in China. But then I just now started bringing it back together, right, and making the connection. About 10 years I've been looking into it, but I just started working actively here on the internet to do my part to do that. Let's see, where did we get to? Consider with me we left off with him introducing the idea of the 10 Sephirah. Now consider with me that a special Sephirah, or subtle aspect of the universe, called by the Kabbalist Yasad. So, if you don't have your Tree of Life diagram handy, you might want to get it out at this time and find out where Yasad is, what's its coloration, what are its angelic names, what is its number and position, how does it interact with the realm of Malkuth, what do you know the Astral Light to be? All right. Have you interacted with it? Can you say with great authority that you can turn astral light into etheric matter that will manifest in our realm? And there you go. I just broke down the basic equation. I've gone too far, right? I've laid it all out there quite openly and told you how to do it. I'll not do that again, guys. I'm only going to drop a golden cookie once in a while. We'll finish off a little more of this, though, and check in. I'm checking in with the ideas room. Doesn't look like there's anybody out there in Happy Land, so we'll go for a few more minutes and see how far we get. And then we'll move off into the abodes of the future. We'll get through this really quickly. Sphere of Yasad, 19th century Magus, Elith, Levi, the mysterious force of equilibrium, that's analytical and psychology, the Weltanschauung, Young holds a form of knowledge in the ancient wisdom, deserves to be evaluated, brought forward. Astral Light is identical. By means of traditional theurgic technique, it is possible to contact consciously this plane of existence, the celestial sphere. and many other planes of existence and dimensions. If you can see the description at the front of all my videos, I lay it out for you quite easily, your pathway up and out of the septic tank that you're trapped in. Right? I make no disguise, a simple allegory. Onward and upward, aspirant. First of all, meditation will disclose the fact that all have a natural harmony and affinity one with the other. And I hope so, yeah. We're supposed to have fellowship and communion. Though not perhaps readily seen at first glance, for example, the moon is to us the fastest moving. Oh, yeah, I missed a few things in that last paragraph. Okay, so this is where we left off last time. We had covered everything previous that I just ran over, and this is where the reading should actually begin, dear Wayfarer. Here on page 31 of the PDF from WordPress, WP content. I'm not exactly sure of wherever this link is. You can find it on your own. Not a big deal. All right. Okay, but with the ladder, let's see how did we finish the last one. One calling for other faculties and other powers, particularly a fiery devotion and an intense aspiration to the highest. But with the latter, I am not just convinced, even though it is in the pulsing hot and more important aspect of theology, it is with the scientific aspect of magic, its more readily verifiable aspect, that I shall deal now. Elsewhere, I have given as traditional attributions or associations to the sphere in question the following symbols. It is a planet. It is said to be the moon. Its element air. Its number 9. Its color purple. And also silver in another scale. I'll pause to give you a little bit of elucidation here, guys, but this is kind of high-level secret stuff. Take a moment to shift your attention, if you can, your energy point to Yasad. Close your eyes if you would, and perceive. What do you perceive there? You might even do it with your eyes open. It's up to you, Wayfarer. Contemplate what you were just told. See the door before you. Knock on it and go through. What's in that room? All right. What's there? What have you put there? Look around for a little while. Use all of your senses. Internal vision, hearing, touch, taste, smell. How do you feel as you move about in that space? What emotions does it evoke? What thoughts does it bring to mind? What looks left to be started but undone and needs finishing? What looks complete? Is there anything scary in there? If so, you might want to face it. Bash it back a little bit. Contemplate your astral temple and then retreat. Retreat back to now. Retreat back to the text. Let's get into it. The pearl and moonstone are its jewels, also its perfume. Pearl and moonstone. Wonder what those smell like. And its so-called divine name is Shaddai El Kai. It's K, right? It shouldn't be Chai. I said Chai when I was younger because I didn't have any real good training in Hebrew pronunciation. The archangel attributed to it is Gabriel. Its choir of angels are the 4 cherubs ruling the elements, the 4 elemental creatures, right? And its geometric symbols are Populus and Via. Geomantic, I know those. The tarot symbols pertaining to this sphere are those cards are in each of the 4 suits numbered 9. The Hermit. And closely associated with it also is the 21st trump card entitled The World. Here we find depicted a female form surrounded by a green garland. Well, first let's deal with the tarot trump, the number 9 as well, the Hermit, because it's the sage at the top, the apex of spiritual mastery, holding the lamp of that mastery out to those who would seek it. Okay, but the World depicted a female form surrounded by a green garland. Actually, this trump card is attributed to the 32nd path of Saturn. A difficult path indeed, right? We're all on it. We all can't get out of it until we go through one of the gates, which consists the material plane to Yasad. How now arises the question, how were these symbols and names obtained? What is their origin? And why are they so-called attributions or correspondence of the Sephirah called the Foundation? That's a lot to unpack. I'll take a break there before we get into the first of all of it. And I'll make sure that my transmission is still connected and that we're all still having a good time out here in Happy Land. We do have a visitor to the show. Let me dial in here a bit. Let's see. Coherence 8. Victoria Salt. Hello there from Florida. Okay, greetings. Yeah, hello. I guess the easiest way would be to call you Victoria. Victoria Salt. Welcome. Greetings and salutations. I hope you are doing well on this special time as we wander the abodes of twilight. Wherever you are, and whenever you're receiving this transmission, just getting into a little reading here. I'm reading some Israel Regardi, the meaning of magic, and covered quite a bit in today's show, right? Started off with the basic incantations and hypnotic inductions and channel announcements, and have moved on to study some King Solomon. Presented a nice little music video from an up-and-coming channel here on YouTube called Dweller in the Darkness. I don't know if you saw that or not. I'll repost his link real quick. Yeah, there it is there. A young man that deserves support and a good sub. So if you go over there and sub up Dweller in the Darkness, definitely tell him Frank Monday sent you. Because I like to know people. I like to let people know source and origin of how we're connecting. Yeah, let's keep that astral light alive amongst us. Because that astral light produces all of those good and happy feelings and level ups, right? The wind in our sails, the jelly in the donut that we all like to get. I can appreciate it. I think most people can appreciate a little jelly in their donut. I'm right now sitting back to have a dark, hot, dank brew of the old black Magick. Got myself some 100% Arabica Colombian coffee, medium dark roast, sourced from basically the Costco chain work. Costco what would you call that? Distribution network. Yeah, the real source of good stuff with bulk wholesale prices, man. You can't get goods like American goods except for from American distributors. That's right, everyone. Invest in the good old USA. Buy American savings bonds and treasuries today. Yeah, nothing wrong with that message. Boy Scout bonds, right? You guys might not know this, but I taught for the Boy Scouts for a while. I was a Boy Scout leader, well, a junior leader. I did 6 years of service, but they wanted me to take over the den, and that's kind of a big deal. I couldn't do that, man. That would have required a much greater investment of time and energy than I had available to me at the time. It's like, yeah, if I'm going to be Denny, but not my family, right? But what an honor to be offered that by a really great den leader. Oh my God, we had the best den leader in Beijing during like my tenure when my kids grew up and did Boy Scouts. Really quite a thing, guys. Quite a thing. I got to add this to the stage, guys. My microphone just died, so I got to try to shift that out. And I'll be back to chat. I'll be back to check the chat. But first, let me finish off the first paragraph of what we're getting into here on the old Frank Monday channel, FM radio, broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, Twilight Zone, old peeking from behind the bamboo firewall. Once again, Mike Finnegan. Here we go. Okay. Let's see if that's going to work even. I'm trying to switch out my earphones, but getting a little bit of feedback. Okay, I think it switched over. Okay, we shall see. Let me check real quick to make sure the microphone is still connected. Yeah, we're looking good. It didn't change any settings. Okay, Wayfarer. Let's get ready to rumble. We'll do a paragraph. I'll come back to check, and then we'll see how we look for the abodes of the future. Take a deep breath. Imagine your magical sigil. Hold for a moment and relax. First of all, meditation will disclose the fact that all have a natural harmony and affinity one with the other, though not perhaps readily seen at first glance. For example, the moon is, to us, the fastest moving planet. It travels through the 12 signs of the zodiac in about 28 days. The idea of rapid change is there implicit, revealing the concept that the astral, while almost a timeless eternal deposit of world events, is nevertheless the origin of mutations and alterations which later influence the physical world. In the same way that impulse and thought must precede any action. Its element is air, a subtle, all-pervading medium, comparable to the astral light itself. Ooh, that's a nice connection to make mentally, right? So close your eyes and think about the gentle breeze going in and out, and then across your skin, and all of the things being brought to you on the air. If your eyes are closed, you might hear that construction sound out of my window right now, right? And I can let that, I can discount any sound and make it disappear, right? At least with the limited amount of my attention factor. The rapid change implied there. Okay, where do we get to? About 8 days, almost, which timeless positive events, blah, 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 the same impulse, blah, 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 pervading medium, comparable to the astral itself, a medium which without life is quite impossible. 9 is the number of all numbers, containing the preceding numbers within its own sum. It always remains itself when added to itself or multiplied or subtracted, suggesting the fundamental all-inclusive, self-sustaining nature of the realm. Wow, that's powerful. God, I haven't read this particular document all the way through in probably 10 years. What a thing to take a moment to ponder and consider. What is still more important, however, from the scientific viewpoint, is that they are things, names, and symbols actually perceived in that sphere by the scryer in the spirit vision. As a matter of solid proof, one could quote numerous visions and astral journeys obtained by different people in different places at different times, in which all the traditional symbols appear in dynamic and in curiously dramatic and vital form. Yeah, oh my God. Oh, for me to tell you about some of the ecstasy of true vision in the astral light. Like, do you even know what it means to do the pentagram ritual? Like, what it looks like in the spheres beyond? Good God, I don't know if you do or not. And I'm not going to pontificate on it too much, but I'll just tell you, God, what a blissful and ecstatic, revelatory thing to be let within the true realms. Magic, as already marked, is a practical system, and every part has been devised for experiment. Each part is capable of verification using appropriate methods. Each student may check it for himself and thus discover the realities of his own divine nature, as well as the universe both within and without him, independently of what any other man may have written in any other book. There you go. There you go. He just put the method in your hand to discount with all of the endless human opinion. We ask for experimentation and demand it even for the sake of mankind. We invite the earnest and sincere student to experiment for himself with that techniques described in chapter 10 of my book, The Tree of Life. Yeah, absolutely. Get into it if you haven't already. And then compare his results, the journey to any one path or sephira, with the correspondences briefly delineated in my other work, A Garden of Pomegranates, or in Dion Fortune's book, The Mystical Kabbalah. It is with the utmost confidence that I say 100 astral journeys obtained in that way will correspond in every instance with the major symbols, names, numbers, and ideas recorded in the several books of the Kabbalah. Yeah, God, really? Really? That's a powerful statement, guys. I don't doubt it. I've confirmed some of the initiatory journeys and seen them unfold firsthand in the prime material plane. So I can tell you there's veracity in at least that much, right? And yeah, that's good enough for me, man. Let's just explore the rest of the paths as light plays out. Ever onward, ad astra per aspera memento mori, neophyte, carpe diem. Let me quote from the record of a colleague, an illuminating passage or two illustrating what I mean. The following is a vision or waking dream, fantasy of the so-called 30-second path. We marched down the wide indigo road. There was a cloudy night, no stars. The road was raised above the level of the ground. There was a canal at each side, beyond which we could see the lights of what appeared to be a large city. We went on like this for a long way, but then I noticed the distance a tiny figure of a woman, like a miniature. She seemed to be naked, but as she drew near, I saw a scarf floating around her neck. She had a crown of stars on her head, and her hands were two wands, and in her hands were two wands. She came towards us very quickly. I gazed fascinatedly at the string of pearls reaching from her neck to her knees, and gazing found that we had passed through the circle of her pearls and she had disappeared. Wow, what a beautiful thing, huh? Look at that. I'm gonna stop it right there and then go back to here. Yeah. Wish I could grab that without having to go all the way over, but there we go. It is what it is. Okay, I got it. Boom. All right, man. I'm going to shut that window for a bit. That was really powerful. Let me drop it. There we are there. Guys, I'd like to remind you to join the Machine Lies if you haven't already. Here's the blurb for his channel. And in the meantime, I got a little behind the scenes work to do, and I'll be right back. It's about 2 minutes long, and then I'll be right back to check the chat.
Basically, on the stream, the Machine Lies, we're taking a very critical look at technology. So the reason we're doing that is because we're looking at the medium that is used to communicate, right, and transmit information, right? We don't think that any form of mediation is neutral, right, but it's laden with values. And so I think that the well has been polluted by technology. So obviously we take a critical look at technology, right? Okay, we're looking at different concepts in relation to technology, right? In terms of philosophy, right? And in terms of religion. Now, that is one of the main purposes of the show, is that we really look at where technology and religion, science, and spirituality, where those things intersect, right? Because there's a crisis of the modern world in which there's a majority of the modern world is religious people. Their mindset is secular, and the means they employ are secular. We're living in a post-liberal, post-human, post-geological age, right? So we're talking about the death of liberalism, the rise of the world technological system. Now, we do think that, okay, there's a considerable level of externalization of the ego, okay, and mediation of ourselves through the means we employ. So obviously, we shape tools, but the tools we use shape us, right? So that's one of the main things we're trying to get across on the show, is how technology changes human psychology. If you question the means you employ and what the objective factors of power are in our age, right, then that's the most important question you can ask. Right, that's the most critical stance you could actually take, right? Like, most people don't question, how or what means they use to question, to ask the question itself, right? So we're actually taking a critical look at technology, right, as a primary form of communication, as an objective factor of power in our age, right? And we think that basically we're assuming that a lot of the stuff that we see through this medium is totally made up, right? Fabricated. And that is based on the fact that it is artifice. It's produced by a machine, right? So
Why did it pause? I wonder. It's interesting. Not sure what happened there, guys. I'm not sure if we're still connected. It seemed like it all cut out all of a sudden. That's okay. I'll look in the chat room here, guys, and see what's going on. We got a visitor in the ideas room. One Victoria Salt says she's from Florida. Good looking out. I can appreciate that. Have I been to Florida? Yeah, I've been to Florida, but I've never been to the tip. I've been as far as Cocoa Beach. Is that what it's called? I believe that's right. My mother had a sister that lived there, so an aunt, I believe. Yeah, that's correct. I think that's accurate. And Victoria Salt says that she is into signs and symbols and the Old Testament. Okay, good magic. Well, you're in the right place then. I'm interested in all those things as well. And I don't know, I don't know a ton about it, but I'm interested in learning more. I would certainly like to go to Colombia. I drink Colombian coffee, as you well know now, and Jesus Christ. What was I going to say? I met a Colombian couple. Well, they were a couple. The man was from Colombia and the woman was from Spain, and they were the most beautiful couple. I think they ended up breaking up, but what a tragedy, man! They should have had a huge family. They should have stayed here in Beijing. If they would have done that, man, this place would be a lot better for it. But yeah, I think he ended up going back to Colombia, and she stayed for a while. I don't know if she's still here or not, but yeah, it is what it is. But I had a 10-year relationship with them, and Frater Tomas was there, and we all did all of those activities together, the stand-up comedy, the improv, the dancing. Almost all of us, though, were interested more in the dancing and learning to dance together. And so the dance class, my swing dance Monday nights, grew to the largest activity that I had. But let's see. Victoria also says that dark roast means they burn it to homogenize taste. And with love, I tell you. Yeah, good. And I like homogenized coffee, I guess, right? Oh, it's wonderful stuff. Voltaire liked it a lot. Said he drank 50 to 70 cups of coffee a day. So that's kind of a big deal, right? Well, if you don't know much about my channel, Victoria, I'll tell you a little bit about it. I am the Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon, Eastern Star Lodge, which just means I investigate into Jehovah, the one God. Dagon was one of his manifestations, but the Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh stands above Dagon. And so, yeah, try to lead back to source. I embrace the allegorical expression of esoteric Christianity, like the rising of the Christ consciousness along his path of 33 steps, right, to his death and Golgotha, and being reborn in the way. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm not so stuck in the doctrine and the dogma that I would oppose the other interpretations of that divine message. And so with that, one of the greatest masters told me, he said, hey, Frank, just get out there and start a bunch of different cults and diverse groups, mastermind groups that bring you and yourself and your friends all closer to the truth, right? Make it a low ground where everyone has a voice. And so those mastermind groups, as you know, they're often in ancient times, they were represented as covens. There was the one star and the 12 zodiac, right? Jesus and his 12 apostles. And all the other equations of starting a mastermind group, you need 13 people. It's hard to get one or two on board, let alone 12 others, right? So that's kind of a big deal. Anyway, Frater Sal Smith has joined. He's the only one so far. No, let me see. No, there's Frater Free Gift from God, or Frater Francis, and Frater Sal. So huge shout out to Frater Sal for achieving Adeptus Exemptus in the Esoteric Order of Dagon. A little more about the show. I just finished up a 100-day challenge. Another 100-day challenge will begin in September. The equinox, the autumn equinox. September 22nd, we'll launch into a new 100-day challenge. The last one was called The Way of the Psionic Agent. There's been about half a dozen or better 100-day challenges in the past that I do here on my channel, that I produce content for and support via the Discord and emails, and of course my Buy Me a Coffee page. I do encourage everyone listening to hit the likes and subscribe and leave comments on the videos, man. That seems to help, and that's really hard to do. All right, not a lot of folks will do that. Like, actually leave some good commentary that you can interact with. But for those of you willing, please do so. I appreciate it. That pretty much sums up the Frank Monday channel. Yeah, I explore the techniques of magic, religion, the esoteric, the occult, paranormal, supernatural, multi-dimensional, and ways to level up in the matrix, right? Dr. D knows. Dr. D's here. He says that Eliphas Levi wrote that the Astral Light was created when God uttered the words, "Let there be light." Oh, that makes fucking absolute perfect sense, right? I think I remember Frater Levi writing that. Frater Eliaphus. Dr. D-Head, have you figured out the acronym of Eliaphus Levi? If you put those words, if you flip the position of the first and last word and then rearrange them, what do you get? A dark and secret name. Oh, cleverly coded. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. You just got to figure that shit out. You might already know. I don't know. Or you could do it right now. Get it together. That's what it's all about, right? Doing good magic. Where did I leave off? I left off with banners. Sorry about that, guys. I got distracted by the chat. But no, it's good to interact with the chat. I'm glad you're here, man. And I'm glad that most of you that have recently joined have been helping me reach 1,000 subs, man. The message has been going out, and I certainly, that's no small thing, man. Blessings to you, and blessings for being here. Do you ever go up on panel? If you do, man, I think I already put the link in the chat. Join me. I'll finish off today's show, guys, with a couple of things. We're at the second hour already. So the basic formula of magic, right? The ask method. And then how do you do that, right? How do you utilize the ask method? You use mentalism, correspondence, and what Dr. D had just mentioned, vibration, the word. Do you know the word? Yod He Vav He, right? Do you know its magical incantation of Eagela Adonai Elohim? Do you know Ahava? I know you know Adonai, and I know you know all the others. So good magic. Good magic. Just keep getting it done, guys. Keep doing your magic, man. I'm running out of gas for today's show. Nobody stopped by to join me. No panel chats. That's okay. I think we did a dynamic show, man, a good solid 2 hours. And this is a great place to finish it. And I just ran the Machine Lies ad and the video from Dweller in the Dark. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoy that. I think I'll finish with one more song here. One last little opportunity for the all the well-wishers out in Happy Land to pull the trigger and step up to the plate, as it were. Not sure. Here we go. I'll pop it out there. Everything seems to be responding slow on my internet anyway. So let me pull it up for you. We'll get into it, and then we'll see what else is going on. Here at FM Radio, guys, broadcasting to you. Twilight Zone, Old Peking, capital of Tartaria, far behind the bamboo firewall in the central kingdom of the Celestial Dragon. Frank Monday coming at you once again like Finnegan, because you know that he's got a yen to expand your kin so that you can get more zen. I almost feel like playing that Eazy-E clip again, just to let motherfuckers know I know what's up, baby. Grew up on the border of Compton and Long Beach. Where is it? Oh, there it is there, guys. Yeah, good magic. Let's check this out. Join in if you know the chorus.
We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean. Hoof and horn, all that die shall we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean. We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean.
All right, there it is there. And that brings us to the end of our show today, Wayfarer. I hope you are doing well out in Happy Land, and I'll offer you the invocation of integration to finish off the transmission for today. So if you know it, say it with me. If not, you can learn. You can follow along. I think they're able to do pretty quick voice to text. Where's that? Sorry guys, got a little confused. Yeah, they're able to do very good voice to text, and they've probably already written down me saying the invocation of total integration 100 times. So here it is here. Let me find it. There it is there. And as we head off into the abodes of the future, guys, keep doing good magic. Heaven and earth are the spontaneous manifestations of the subtle, wondrous universal law. As the original oneness expresses itself, gross and subtle energies become distinctly divided. Our bodily caves are brightly illuminated by the mysterious light from the three sources, our three Dantian bridge points and elixir fields, leading to spiritual immortality. The powerful spirits of the 8 directions of the octahedron conjoin our being with the true origin of life by the absolute order of the divine Ling Bao. In the highest and ninth heaven, send the positive energies of Qianluo, Danna, Dunkan, and Taishuan to destroy our spiritual obstacles and debilitate any evil influence. This order is given by the highest sovereignty. It is a jade oracle from the subtle origin. I invoke with strong sincerity to drive away the demons and evils and lengthen our healthy years. The attained spirits respond that the evil demon king Mo Wang is chained to stand as our garden servant. The powerful atmosphere has been generated, dispersing all negativity. The Chi of Tao is everlasting. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Amen. Who art Ra in thy rising, even to thee who art Ra in thy strength, who travellest over the heavens at the uprising of the sun. Tahuti standeth in his splendor at the prow, and Ra Hor abideth at the helm. Hail unto thee from the abodes of the night. Quit the darkness and seek the light, Wayfarer, and you'll be on the path of the Magi, man. It's good magic. Y'all good-looking sex people, don't forget, goodness alone is power, silence is strength. Will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation. And I wish you well into the abodes of the future, dear Wayfarer, because love is law, love under will. So why do it? I do it out of love, man, because no new horror can be more terrible than the daily torture of the commonplace, said the prophet of our Aeon. I'll remind you really quick to check me out on Buy Me a Coffee as we finish off. Hit the like button, and I'll see you in the abodes of the future. Good magic ad astra, prospera, Wayfarer, carpe diem, and never, never, ever, memento mori. We're all here together, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now, guys.